Hey everyone, today I'm here to do another video in my how to build a home series. I think this is video number 4. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you go check those out. I'll have them linked above. And today we are going to basically be talking about our inside utilities. So now that we have the whole shell of the house completed, we have a building standing, it's dried in, and we can work on inside stuff, we get to do the inside utilities, which usually means a rough-in. So before the rough-ins though, I don't think everybody does this, and it's not required by our building department, but we have done our drawings for plumbing. Now I don't think this is required. I basically think a plumber usually comes in, they do the plumb-in or the rough-in work, and then the inspector comes and checks it, and then you're good to go. The first thing I want to mention is this is the time where you need to be picking all your fixtures. So your bathtubs, your showers, your toilets, your sinks. So there's 3 major spots in your house where you have to consider plumbing. Bathrooms, your kitchen, and usually like a utility room or a laundry room. That's the 3 main parts in a home that you have to plumb. So we wanted to make sure that we knew going into it how exactly we were going to plumb this. We are doing the plumbing ourselves. Like I said before, my dad and I are doing everything start to finish, except for one thing that I'll talk about in a little bit. So we did a plumbing drawing. Once again, we had the layout of our house, and these lines here running straight across indicate the waste system of the plumbing. So you'll see here I have 3 circles, this one, and this one. And basically all that is a zoomed in version of each spot in our house. So this one, for instance, is the ensuite off of our master bedroom. You can see our toilet, our shower, our tub, and sinks. And we basically just need to know where the plumbing's going to go, where the plumbing is going to exit, specifically to the septic. The main thing that we've had to figure out with this is the plumbing going to line up correctly in the basement? Because usually your plumbing goes down through the floor into your basement, and you have beams and such in your basement, and then also the fall of plumbing. So you have to have, I believe it's a 1/4 inch fall over 1 foot so that you have your good slope, and it can't be anything less than that. So you want to make sure when you're looking at the length of your house, our house is 72 feet long. So if you're timing 72.25, you end up with a lot of drop. You're talking over a foot drop. So you want to accommodate that foot of plumbing in your basement. So we basically, all we did was run it right alongside our beam, and our beam is going to be 12 inches or whatever anyways. So it'll just come below our beam and then go into a utility room downstairs that just doesn't really matter what's coming from the ceiling. So once again, this is a zoomed in version of our kitchen. We have our sink, dishwasher, and that's pretty much it for the kitchen. I know a lot of people in the States have like garbage disposals, but we don't usually have that in Ontario. So that is just basically our kitchen. And then once more, this is the kids' bathroom. So you have your sink, your tub, your shower, and that type of thing. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about with the waste plumbing end of it is your vents. Your vents go up through the walls and into your attic usually, and we had to do a lot of figuring where are our vents going to come up. Is there a wall right beside? Do we have to run it through the floor and then come up a wall? So there's a lot of that, and that is what you see here as the yellow plumbing lines. So the waste is the blue and the yellow is the vent. So that's just for our sake. You don't actually have to submit this to the building department. They don't require that. So we just wanted to do all of this for ourselves, and then that way we just reference back to our drawings and we know exactly what we have to achieve. Once again, for the plumbing, you need to have your fresh water your hot and your cold. So we don't have to submit this, but I just quickly drew where our water lines are going to run, and that'll give us a better idea when we're actually going to do it, where we have to get the water from and where it's going to. There's a couple other things other than the bathrooms, the kitchen, and your laundry room. If you have an outside hose bib outside, you want to make sure that you're plumbing that in as well. So the next major utility inside is your electricity. So you have to choose all of your lighting, your fixtures, which includes like your stove, your washer dryer, fridges, and just anything that has to do with electricity. You have to make sure you know where that is going. And basically what we came up with, and this as well, you do not have to submit to the building department. However, I believe ESA will actually come and look at this with you and go over it and make sure it's correct before you even start. I don't think it's required as a self-build. They just come in at the end of it all after your rough-in is done, they inspect it, approve it, and that type of thing. But I believe you can pay them to come out and just have it checked over, which we would actually like to do because we're not actual electricians. My dad's been doing it for a long time, and we actually bought this book right here. I'll have it linked down below. It was really helpful in the Ontario building code process with all of the electricity. There was a lot of things that we didn't know, a lot of things that just confirmed our thoughts and our knowledge. So it was really awesome to get this book. It was about $30, I believe, but it was so worth it to do our own electrical. So this is what we came up with, and it looks crazy right now. But basically, you can see here, we have a legend showing everything, what it's marked as, and then we have all these dotted lines going from light fixtures to outlets, and that is the circuitry of our house. So our next step, once we have our lights and our outlets and all of our hardwired in appliances written on our layout, we have to come up with our electrical panel. So this is what we did. I actually drew on just like a spreadsheet. We actually had these blank, and I just had the numbers of the breakers because we are having a breaker panel, 200 amp. So these were all blank, and we got to rough in what we thought was going to go on what circuit. So obviously all our major appliances and things will be on their own breaker, and then we have the more complicated circuits for like bedrooms and that type of thing. So in Ontario, you are allowed up to 12 units, which means a light fixture, an outlet. So you're allowed up to 12 things on your circuit. And now that's not including LEDs. LEDs you can have up to like, I think it was like 180 on a circuit or something crazy, but usually it doesn't work out that way. So we went through and we made sure that we had all of our rooms on a circuit below 12 things. So basically what you do is, if you have a bedroom here, just for an example, you have one light in the main part of the room, and I'm having lights in our closets, and then each of these little dots are outlets. So those each count as one. So if I count them, there's technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things in our room. So we put those all onto one circuit, which equals out to one 15 amp breaker. Now in Canada, I believe this changed last year, they all have to be arc fault breakers in bedrooms, most of the house actually, which are a lot more money nowadays, but it's what's required. So once again, this is not required by the permits, but we can have someone come out and just look through this with us and say yes or no, have we done this wrong, have we done it right, and just basically tell us what you need to fix. Oh, and the other thing is you also have to know where your light switches are going, what kind of light switches you want. Are you gonna walk through a room, turn on a light switch, and then be on the other side of the room and switch off that same light? That's called a three-way switch, and which my house has a lot of three-way switches, which is crazy, but I always hate going through rooms and not being able to turn off the lights, such as a hallway, walking from one end of the hallway to the other. You want 2 switches controlling 1 light in the center. So we have a lot of those, and then once again you have to figure out your basement electrical. Usually it's a lot of hardwire stuff, your HRV, which is a heat recovery ventilator, and your furnace, sump pump, that type of thing. Usually those will all have their own circuits. And then also, don't forget about your outside electrical. If you want outlets or light fixtures on the outside, you have to do those circuits as well. Now this next step is actually kind of based under the electrical, but it is its own category, and that is fire protection. So you're talking about your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide detectors. So you basically, once again, just come up with a layout of your house where all of the smoke detectors will be. Now they require them at each bedroom, or inside every bedroom, and then every exit, I believe, is where they require them, and then 1 in the basement. So carbon monoxide detectors, though, I believe are in each hallway, and then 1 in the basement. So that's its own category. Even though it's a small category, it's a very, very important category. And nowadays in Ontario, they do require all of the carbon monoxide detectors and the smoke detectors to be on 1 circuit each, so that if one goes off, they all go off. They all have to be, I believe, voice activated and require a light nowadays. So you can't just have a battery fixture smoke detector. If you're building a new home, they all have to be wired in together. Now the last category I'm going to include in this video is the one that we have actually not completed yet. This is the one thing that's like holding us back from submitting permits, and something that we just are not 100% sure about. So I'm going to be talking about the HVAC. This is the one thing that we will not be doing ourselves. We will be having a licensed HVAC supplier come in. We have not decided who yet. We have not decided what yet. We were hoping to have a wood burning furnace that supplies heat throughout the house with wood. However, they are quite expensive. They have to be backed up by another fuel. So that means either oil, electricity, or propane. And there's really only one company that we know of that carries this type of furnace in our area. And from what I've heard from someone that I know that works in the business, is that they are really not the greatest quality, which doesn't satisfy my thought process on the wood burning furnace. So in our old house, we did have 2 wood stoves, and then we had baseboard heaters. If you're going with baseboard heaters, you do not require anything for permits, I don't believe, just that it all basically runs under the electrical permit. Because it's all based on electricity, you pretty much need a separate panel for baseboard heaters because they run so much energy. The few things that we have learned so far throughout this process is that now in Ontario we require the HRV, which is a heat recovery ventilator. And basically all it does is exchanges the air from your house with the air outside. It constantly exchanges it. However, it doesn't exchange it in a way that you're losing heat loss. So it actually helps crisscross the airflow so that the heat coming in actually warms up a little bit, so that you're not losing all of your heat outside. They say this is required now because houses are so sealed in nowadays that there's no airflow when you're wood burning, when you're propane burning. It takes all of your oxygen out of the air, and it can get quite stuffy in the winter time when all the windows are closed up. They require that nowadays, but it's a lot of money. It's like $3 grand just for the HRV portion of the HVAC, and we weren't planning on that. We know nothing, well, we know more about it now, but we didn't know anything about it at the time. We didn't know what it did. We didn't know why we required it. We didn't know how it even hooks up. So we've learned a lot about that to go with our heat system. So the heat system that I believe we are going with is a propane furnace, just a basic propane forced air furnace. It will run heat through your house based off of propane. Now the problem is we came up with a drawing showing exactly where we needed our duct to run, where all of our vents would be in our rooms upstairs, and downstairs our cold air returns. However, apparently in Ontario you do not require drawings if you're doing it yourself. However, you do require a mechanical ventilation design summary. Now this lists all of your CFMs, your BTUs, that type of thing with HVAC, and we don't know exactly how to calculate this, which means we will be getting someone to do our drawings showing all of our CFMs, our BTUs, that type of thing on a drawing and a ventilation summary, and we will be submitting that with our permits. The problem is that it's like up to $1,000 just for these drawings, which sucks because we've done all of our own drawings from start to finish and we're not capable of doing these HVAC drawings, which sucks because it was the whole point of doing our own drawings. We wanted to be able to do everything ourselves. However, because we don't know enough about the HVAC industry and the theories behind it and the calculations behind it, we're unable to do it, and we just don't have the time and don't really want to put the effort into learning it. It's a lot to learn all of the calculations, so we are going to leave it in the hands of a professional, but in the end, at least it will be warranted, it'll be done correctly, and we won't have to worry about it in the future. So like I said, we have not decided who we're going with yet and what we're going with. I have to find someone to do the drawings for me, and then we have already had one quote from a guy that I know that I've known for a while. He's in the HVAC industry. However, it's going to cost, I believe, $15,000 for all of the HVAC. That's including the furnace, the ductwork, the HRV, and the ductwork for the HRV. That's not including the drawings and that type of thing. So the drawings will be anywhere from $600 to $1,000 for the drawings on top of that. So that kind of sums up this step in the process of designing a home. It's basically all the major things out of the way, and now we get to move on to a lot of the more cosmetic things. I will kind of go into detail in the next couple videos about what are the next step, but I think that's pretty much the majority of like the hard technical stuff. So anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure you check out those videos if you haven't seen the 3 previous videos to this series, and I guess I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.